We're working with a Harley cast rear wheel. We're going to put a Metzler ME880. It's a MT90 B16 tire on this rim. It's pretty typical for Harley Davidson. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're using the posi clamps. This wheel doesn't have the rotor or pulley on there, but there's adequate clearance and space so that you can kind of see the space they would take up. I'm going to take the tire lube. I'm going to lube the drop center. That's this valley in the middle. And you don't want to put any lube in the bead seat area. You want to keep that strictly in the valley in the middle. And now's a good time to change your valve stem out too. Alright, once you've lubed that drop center, lube the face edge of the rim. And you're not using a lot of this paste. Just a little bit. It's very slick. Water soluble. Check the direction of your tire, make sure it matches the direction of the wheel. Take more paste, put that paste on the inside of the tire where you don't see it back here. And a little bit on this inside edge. I'll put some on the inside edge on the bottom. And I'm going to push the first half on. Now the cast wheels, the cast Harley wheels, generally you can push this on just by hand. On some of the steel spoked wheels, you may need to use one of our spoon bars to get the second half on, possibly even two, some of the Sportster wheels. So I'm going to get this started by pushing this in. And tighten up my posi clamps. If you're having trouble, it's not going on, stop, back up, take a little bit of tire lube, get a little bit more on that rim. Wouldn't hurt to get a little bit on the tire. You hear it squeaking, get rid of that squeak with that lube. Now I should be able to just push this. It takes a little effort, but be patient with it and it'll pop right on. Alright, next. Two-prong end of the mount demount bar is going to install the tire. That always starts and stops over this left frame arm. If you're using the Cycle Hill tire changer, it's not going to matter unless you've got the back arm on your machine. Next, I'm going to take the bead keeper, which is the yellow thing tool. I'm going to pre-install this tire a little bit. I'm going to hook that on. That handle needs to point toward the middle of that wheel. I'll bring my center post in. Now, on Harleys there's a deep drop center, but you also, while you're pushing the top down, you may have to tug the bottom up. And that's installing and removing. That'll let that tire shift. I'm going to move around, push the bar with my hip, hold the tire at first, get that moving. Make sure I pull this tire up, get it in that drop center, as well as push it down. Now I've got all the clearance I need, and you'll see ahead of the bar, the friction zone is ahead of the two prongs. That's why we leave the back of the inside of the tire. I'll just continue. Feel free and clamp your wheel really well with the posi clamps. Work that tire down. The more you push that down, the more clearance you make over here. And that's it. You would have seen that whole tire shifted because it was caught a little bit on the bead seat area in the bottom. That's what you're dealing with most Harley wheels. You just got to manipulate that tire correctly. Now, to take it off, use the spray lube. Get it down in that drop center. After you've broken the bead, clamp the wheel in. Take the mount demount bar. Slide it in on an angle. You want to continue to push this down and pull the bottom up. Now draw the bar up toward the ceiling. So if I was drawing it up and it popped out, you see how it had to go. But I'm going to push this down, pull that bar up, and lift the tire. You want to relieve the opposite side. The tip will bend if you're not allowing the tire to move into the drop center. Now the second half, taking that off, is very similar, but much easier. Keep that tip on the top edge of the rim. Don't let the metal on the bar here ever get near the rim. Just keep that tip there. When you bend the tire sideways, it makes a little space. You lift it up and hook it on the lube. I'm going to take the second half off, and we'll be right back to where we started. Now, you can check out some of our other videos for tire tubes. We have a BMW F650 tire change video. Really helpful when you're dealing with tubes. You can watch some of the dirt bike tire changes. They also show dealing with tubes. And almost all the videos we have in some way will apply to changing tires on all Harley Davidsons.